And if you don't have the emotional intelligence to recognize the team is going left because you haven't clearly communicated and really touched a person so that you can move them forward, then I would ask you, who are you leading? Who you're leading if you're not understanding people.
Welcome to the Leader's Mindset, where we bring you illuminating conversations from impactful leaders in businesses and our community. Today, we're talking with Eva Simone, who has spent a career developing leaders and organizations in the beauty industry and left all that behind to help people learn how to balance their power and their vulnerability. And she's going to tell us why that's essential for every leader. Thanks for joining us today, Eva.
Oh my God, my goodness, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be on because there's so much I need to tell the world about how to balance that power and that vulnerability so they can be the most amazing people. Today, we're going to make a difference.
I'm excited too. I can't wait to get into it. Before we start, for everyone watching, go ahead and like, comment, and share this video right now so we can bring all these game-changing ideas to as many people as possible. It really helps us out when you do that. And don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss any of our upcoming conversations with leaders like Eva.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I can't wait to get into this. We had a great conversation a week ago, and I can't wait to share it with everyone. Now, your journey from the beauty industry to transforming lives is fascinating. What was the defining moment that made you take the leap to start your own mission-driven business?
Well, that's a beautiful question. Number one, it's so scary whenever you've been doing something and you did it very well to really make a change. But something just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I was connecting to my soul, and I didn't feel like I was doing soul driven work. So I made a change. COVID was a big turning factor for me, and it was a big aha that really turned me inside out. And I had to really make a deep dive into who I am and who I was, and really clean up that vibration and to figure out if what I'm doing today does not make my soul come alive, then what should I be doing? So that was one of the first questions that I had.
Yeah, one of the things we need to learn, one of our very early lessons as leaders, is we have to clean up a lot of things that we've learned along the way so we can grow and become better leaders. A lot of your work has been about helping women balance their masculine and feminine sides, but I don't want the men to tune out. This is a podcast for you guys too. Stay with us, guys, because this isn't just about what we traditionally consider masculine and feminine. It's about balancing power and vulnerability. Why is that so important for leaders regardless of gender?
Yes. So for me, how it all started, whenever I really got into the workforce, I had this go-getting attitude, just getting things done, this push, move it, and really succeed. But there was a side of me that I kept pushing down because I was afraid that if I showed that side, then I wouldn't be considered as powerful in the workforce. And I put powerful in quotations because everyone gives power and powerful their own definition. But what I started to understand and to notice is that I felt so disconnected from myself. And when I got home, my personal life was just strange because I didn't know how to be vulnerable when it really mattered. I just knew how to move the bus forward. And sometimes when you move the bus forward and you miss those beautiful opportunities to connect and nurture and be compassionate and just really embody that feminine side that each one of us has, whether we're a man or a woman, you miss out on the totality of being a human being. We all have the ability to tap into that emotional side of us because that emotional side is also the powerful side. And when I started to merge power and vulnerability together, Jason, it was a game changer. Game changer.
It is a game changer. I've seen it myself in my experience working with companies and in the Air Force as well. And you talked a little bit about how this manifested in yourself, but these imbalances manifest themselves differently in men and women. Can you talk about what signs we might see in ourselves that indicate we are out of balance with our power and our vulnerability? And how do these imbalances silently sabotage our success?
They do sabotage. They sabotage at every turn. And you sometimes just don't understand, why can't I get this thing to work? Why can't I get, I don't know, why doesn't my family, why aren't we getting along? Or why aren't my relationships thriving? Because when we don't know how to understand what our soul is telling us and when to be vulnerable, then it is a strikeout. And not only is it a strikeout, but we miss out on an opportunity to get to know ourselves. So for me, as a woman, I was like, why am I hiding this side of me that is so beautiful, that is so radiant and alive? Why do I have to be so, that side that we can get when we're trying to present it away, but yet on the inside you feel like you're dying. You feel like you're like, I want to say this thing, but I can't because it doesn't seem like it's right to say it. Or I want to express myself in a way that is not so corporate, but it's from my heart. It wasn't until I gave myself permission, because until you give yourself permission to check in, to see what you're feeling, to see what your heart feels, to see what emotions are coming through, it shows up as some really tough emotions: anger, sarcasm, um, just just gotta say it fast or dominate or take over the conversation. And all along, you're scared on the inside. You're scared of letting the person know that, hey, this is what my heart says. And until I got connected to what my heart really said, I wasn't winning. I wasn't winning. And when I understood at a soul level how to be emotional and intellectual, I won hand over fist over and over and over again. And it was so beautiful. It was so delicious. And if every man and every woman can take a moment and have awareness of what they're saying, how they're acting, what their behavior is, and what's going on at a deeper level, and make a shift, life will be so beautiful for you. I guarantee it.
I agree, and we're all really glad that you found a way to get yourself connected in that way. Because now what you're doing, your mission in life has become to help women get connected that way and make the same transformation you did. And I know you have a new program that's focused on helping women with their dating lives. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, that one is so fun. Well, number one, women are afraid to date. Men are afraid to date too because, I hear a lot of times there are just not any good men or women out there. And if you're successful, you hear things like, oh, she's so successful, she's so picky, she can't find a man. That's not true. That's not true. We are putting up these veneers that are holding us back instead of allowing that vulnerability to be a new truth of what you want, who you are, how are you going to show up in the world. The name of it is Swipe Right, Slay the Dating Game. And just really maximizing on the beauty of who you are and what you want, as Rumi says, wants you back. But if you can't clear up the vibration of what you really want, it can't come towards you. And believe me, it will. Once you get clear, crystal clear, and then embody all of those characteristics and emotions and that those ways of being, life will be so beautiful.
When we talked a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, one of the things that really impressed me as you're helping women find that clarity, find that truth, one of the things I found really intriguing is that as you help women, you're also transforming the men in their lives.
Oh, yes.
What are the impacts you're achieving through helping women on to men further? And then what about your programs do you think are making that kind of difference?
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful when you are watching a couple And the woman has come back to that feminine side of her. Because before I go any deeper, when you have two masculine people in a relationship, and what I mean by that is when the person can't do the beautiful dance in a relationship and everybody is going rah, 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 rah. It's like a bunch of people barking all through the day and night, and you can't get your point across because nobody can hear. But when you pull back and recognize these are two people who have opinions, and if one can really express themselves in a way that is loving, and they're both conscious to recognize, to be aware, to slow down, to hear what's being said in the head, to hear what's being said through the heart and feel it. And if it doesn't feel right, then that is feedback. So I help these individuals, the women, really feel into their hearts by hearing what's being said, that vulnerability, and recognizing, oh, if I say it like this and I say it through my heart, then that's what I give. I give that in the purest form. And when that starts to happen, nobody's bickering, nobody's fighting. There's only heart showing up. And that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Learning to listen, learning to be open was one of the lessons, the hard lessons I had to learn as a young officer in the Air Force. It's something I still have to remind myself of. I'm not completely over it. We called it being stuck in transmit mode when we were in the Air Force. But speaking of stuck in transmit mode, corporate leaders can be skeptical about emotional intelligence training and EQ, especially in technical fields. What's your most persuasive case why EQ is non-negotiable in today's business world?
It's non negotiable. I almost want a person to have EQ over IQ at times. And when you have EQ, you're watching facial expressions, you're hearing, seeing, and feeling a lot of times what isn't said. And that beautiful ability fills in those blanks, and you're able to lead the team based on all of the information you're getting back. Then you add the techniques to it, and you can move a beautiful team forward. But if you're only moving it with IQ, and your thought process is not really clicking to help people, because businesses are people, your clients are people. People are embodied in emotions, and people are embodied in how they perceive things. And if you don't have the emotional intelligence to recognize the team is going left because you haven't clearly communicated and really touched a person so that you can move them forward, then I would ask you who you're leading if you're not understanding people.
It's funny because when I look back at my time in the Air Force, I find that the leaders who achieved the most had a healthy balance of power and vulnerability. But in the military, as most people know and most people would expect, we're not really trained in that. This was just something they had either grown up with or developed on their own. Tell us about your experiences working with the military and veterans.
Well, I have some veterans very close to me all the time. And what I recognize is whenever I'm talking to them, if you keep facts, but you are moving forward in conversation based on just coming with heart and then explaining a truth that is yours, and you're teaching them how to be heard, how to be seen, how to be appreciated, and to hear. It is the beautiful recipe for everybody collaborating together. Because to me, there's nothing worse for me than barking and you're expecting everyone to hear, but everyone is not hearing. And everybody is just kind of like separating and falling apart, and you don't recognize what's happening to the team. You want to see people, you want to hear them, you want to feel them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have the perception in the military that we bark orders and people just jump when we tell them to jump. And that's great for like basic training. That has its place. That's great for time critical situations, combat situations. No argument there. But it only gets you so far the rest of the time.
Yes.
One other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to the military and veterans is transitioning out of the military is challenging for all of us who are veterans, even in the best of circumstances. What's your best advice for veterans who are about to take off the uniform, as well as for old guys like me who've been out a while?
I first of all, I congratulate anyone and commend anyone for transitioning from the military to civilian lives, because it's certainly different, but you're still a human. You're still a person. And a lot of times we really push those feelings down because they make it makes us feel like vulnerable. So I let the person know, listen, when you're getting out into the new world, and I call it new because it's different from where you've been, recognize that if you start to speak to people as a human to a human, that a person is going through things just like you're going through things. A person, they're having the same desires to have the best for their families, to want to thrive in the world, and the list goes on and on and on. And we look at a person and we speak to a person from a place of saying, hey, human to human, see it as a possibility then. Don't see it as, oh my gosh, I'm out of the military, I can't relate to anyone. And if you're in that attitude, that is the attitude that you will lead with. And when you're leading with that attitude, you're going to expect that to happen. Nobody relating. See people as humans and start there.
Yeah. So, and this was a lesson I had to learn coming out of the military as well, is you don't, we can't come out of the military saying, okay, now I have to deal with civilians. We have to come out and start recognizing that we are dealing with people in new ways and situations that we've probably never dealt with in our adult lifetimes. If you were in for 20 years like me and then 4 years of ROTC in college, I was in some capacity wearing an Air Force uniform from the time I was 17 to the time I was 41. And we as veterans have an adjustment to make as well, as we come into the world around us. So let's take a break from the serious questions and play a little bit of a game.
Great.
Are you down for a game?
I'm down for a game.
All right. This game is called Rapid Response.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I want you to tell us about the first thing that comes into your mind. Doesn't need to be a one-word answer. You don't need to go quickly. You can elaborate as much as you like. We just want to get your thoughts on the topic, the first thing that comes into your mind. All right?
And are there any rules?
That's it. Those are the rules. I ask you a question, you answer it however you want. It's basically like the rest of the podcast.
Okay.
All right?
Sounds good.
All right. Eva Simone, rapid response round. Your time begins now. A podcast recommendation.
Mine.
Fair enough.
Mine.
What's the name of your
Yes.
podcast and where can we find it?
It's about feminine power, the She-volution podcast.
All right. Everybody finish watching this, then go find Eva's podcast.
Yes.
All right. Back to the questions. Pumpkin spice or cinnamon?
Pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice. Someone underrated we should all be watching.
Underrated that we should all be watching. That one is hard. I read a lot of books, so I'm into. I can't tell you any of the shows, but I'm a book girl.
Well, feel free to tell us about an underrated author we should all be reading.
Underrated author we should all be reading. I'm reading one now about good energy. Her name is, I just totally forgot her name, but a physician. Check out Good Energy, and
Okay.
that's a good one.
All right. That's your homework. Your homework is to email me
I'll give you all the information
the name
for
of that book so we can put it in the show
Yes.
notes.
Yes.
Okay. Don't answer this one yet because you get a choice. What is your go-to song to get pumped up or your walk-on music?
I love these days Teddy Swims.
Very nice.
And
That's a good one.
he has many songs that I love.
Very nice. The biggest influence in your life?
The biggest influence in my life. Children. They're a big influence in my life. I like to watch children. Children, they say it how they feel it. They laugh without any reservations. They cry without any reservations. And they don't give a darn if you love it or not. I love that.
I think we could all do with a little more of that in our lives, right?
Yes.
Okay. Another book everyone should read.
Let me think. This is going to sound weird, but I'm reading about 50 books as we speak. May I get my phone out and give you a one or two? I'm reading.
Yeah, go ahead and get your phone out because what the
Yes.
audience doesn't see here when I do the
Okay.
podcast, I'm in my home office right now doing this episode. What people don't see here off camera, there are probably 10 or 20 books around, not just this room, but around the house that are open that I'm just
Okay.
kind of in the middle of reading. And then on my iPad, there are about 1 million books that are in my Kindle or PDF files that I'm in the process of reading. So you're not all that weird. I think a lot of us, especially those who are watching this kind of podcast, are doing that right now.
Okay. I started reading yesterday that I thought was really good. It's about Tiger Woods. And there's a coach that's working with him. And let me just pull that up. And that really pulled me in. The Big Miss. My years coaching Tiger Woods.
Great.
That's interesting. So that's something that would be fun. I think you guys would love and enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'm going to add that to my list because I play golf, not very well, but I certainly would like to learn more about that.
Yes.
Your favorite holiday season activity?
My favorite holiday season activity. So, I don't have a favorite holiday. I have favorite days. And today's my birthday, but it's not my favorite day. And the reason why I don't have a favorite day, because if we start counting the favorite days, we may only have 10 per day. So my theory is if you count daily 365 days per year, then you have a beautiful opportunity for something on a daily basis. Because if I only did 10 days that are my favorite, and I plan to live to 100, then it's a possibility I don't have many days that I can enjoy. But if I do 365, I'm 52 years old now, so if I do 365, I have like 17,000 days that I can be excited about. And to me, that's winning. So something that I would do on my daily, it just felt like my eyes crossed with this, with the podcast. Something I do on a daily basis is remembering to appreciate the sun, to appreciate the sun shining, and to be in awe of living, because we're floating around in orbit, and we don't fall out of the sky. That we are moving around at something like 17,000 miles per hour, or whatever it is. That's something so big and so beautiful, and that being in awe of life, being in awe that we can go to bed at night and we don't fall out of bed because things are just perfect, and I appreciate that every day.
It sounds like fantastic advice, and it sounds like something we can adopt that will help us all be a little more vulnerable and a little more open.
Yes. Yes.
Your dream vacation spot. Oh, happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My dream vacation spot. Huh. Well, I have a few things that are coming up. I don't have a dream vacation spot because I the world is so big. There's so many beautiful places to go. Um, but next year I'm doing Puerto Rico. I'm going to Latvia and Iceland. I'm going to be doing the west coast of Africa. So they're all beautiful opportunities. So I don't have a dream one.
Well, they all sound amazing.
Yes.
What's an industry trend flying under the radar right now?
An industry trend that's flying under the radar is no is a complete sentence. Just no.
Yeah, it gets lost sometimes, doesn't it? But it's never hurts to remind us of that. All right, last one. Your favorite sports team or your favorite player?
I don't know sports very well, but I love all sports in the stadium. And recently, the last sports team that I saw was a hockey team, the Hurricanes in North Carolina. And I didn't know any of the players, but I enjoyed just people being passionate, from the players to the onlookers and the fans, and how people, regardless if a team is good or not, they show up, they scream, they're excited. And when you can live life from passion, and that is a feeling, evoking a feeling in you, to me, that's a win, that you are living based on your soul. And when you can allow that to come through passion, I say I give you a high five for that.
Beautiful. Fun fact, the Carolina hockey team, the Carolina Hurricanes, before they were the Carolina Hurricanes, were the Hartford Whalers, which is the hockey team I grew up in Connecticut watching.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, what a coincidence, right?
Yes.
So thank you for playing our game. You've been a good sport. We've learned a lot about you that I don't think we would have gotten to from the other questions.
Maybe not.
So to get back to it, we're right in the middle of the holiday season right now as we're recording this. How can we find some balance in ourselves to deal with family drama and create more meaningful connections at home?
Well, if you don't lead from the energy of family drama, and because a lot of times people will say, I just can't do this family thing. Well, that is already leading from a place of I can't do. And it's okay for people not to always come together, but it's not okay for the same program to continue to go loop after loop after loop in your mind, but expecting something different to happen. And that's what I work with individuals about, getting out of that program of what was into something new. Because if you're constantly thinking the same thoughts as you did yesterday, as you did 10 years ago, as you did 20 years ago, 40 years ago, whatever, those thoughts are old. They're musty. I love to say cheese and wine really ages well. Bad thoughts does not age well. I've recognized with my studies and working with people, a lot of times we are still running programs that happened when we were 9 years old, 5 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old, and we're now 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I help you to be aware. And that's how you deal with family members. That's how you deal with the holidays. Recognizing, am I showing up with my cousin or my mom or my brother with the same feelings that I was fighting with when I was 7? And if you are, you ask yourself, do I want to continue this? And if you are continuing it, ask yourself, what are you getting out of it? And if you're not getting out of it what you truly want, I ask you to have awareness. I ask you to look at every thought and come right back here to the heart. It doesn't mean that you have to go to someone's house if you don't want to, but just see how you're developing and what you're creating for yourself, and how that is moving you forward to have the most beautiful lives. To have that most beautiful life right now is just a thought away. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, when we talked a week ago, you said something really powerful of it's important to hear what we say to ourselves.
Yes.
And that's kind of like a little revelation I had as we were talking today is sometimes we are listening to the old programs, the old things we say to ourselves, and we're not really listening to the other parts of ourselves that are talking about that. And so we are we can make the choices we need to make after we listen to ourselves, but we certainly want to listen to what we have to say, right?
Yes. Yes. And what I would add to that, if you don't think that you're worthy of something different, and I'm going to lean in with this one, you won't get anything different. You won't. Being worthy and not thinking you're worthy, they don't match. You have to embody what it is that you want in speech, when you're with people, and when you're silent and alone. Because when you're alone is when the conversation really goes on in the head. How you show up, the behavior. What are you expecting? What you can hold for more than just a minute? What you can hold for just more than 2 days? I teach individuals how to hold what they're desiring more than just a day. Because when you can start to build on something beautiful, and then add a new thought that is just as beautiful and amazing, and add thoughts, and then you start to do something where I call embodiment stacking. And before you know it, you're like, I don't even recognize myself anymore because I've done all of these beautiful things that are now the inside is matching the outside. That's why people feel like they're imposters, because the inside and the outside are not matching. I teach you how to hold the beauty of what you want, protect it, contain it, until it is so big and has blossomed so beautifully, and that it just oozes out of everything that you say, do, and believe, because it's you. It's the you that you always want, and it continues to shift and change. So my tip today is, if you're shifting even with this conversation, tomorrow, shift again. Just keep opening yourself up and allowing something new and better and different, and that's what you'll get.
I love it. You've done so much amazing work with so many people. When you reflect on all that, what's the most meaningful transformation you've witnessed in a client? And also, how did it change you?
Well, that's beautiful. Um, I always say when I'm working with a client, one person can change a community. And when I am working with one person, or I show up in my truth of kindness, of love, of expansion, and I am not speaking in those ways where it's pulling people down, but I am expanding and letting myself be seen and heard and visible. In the beginning, it's uncomfortable. But people love knowing that there is a new way of doing things, of being, of showing up. And when I start to exude to my clients who I am, and they start to mirror back, then I know that I've penetrated them at a soul level. And when it's starting to happen and everything is flowing and it feels so good, and you look at the client and her husband, it's coming through the husband, and you're like, yes, I've done something good for humanity. And I see it all the time. Even I don't need people to tell me, hey, you did this for me. I just need people to be happier, to feel proud of being alive in this lifetime. This one. That's what I'm put on this earth to do. And one by one, I will impact them so that they can shift and change, so that wives can be happier at home. Husbands can show up and say, hey, this is the person that I love. That the children can say, my mother is thriving. She's not stuck in drama. Or, I don't know, my whole family, I see that everybody is doing better. That's what I do. And I take so much pride in it.
As you should. It sounds like made some amazing transformations for people.
Yes.
One of the things that it's really important to us here is helping leaders can always continue to learn and grow, especially those new leaders who are just starting out as new managers or new leaders starting out on their leadership journey. What's the single piece of advice you wish every leader would hear before they step into their first management role?
That you will make mistakes, but sit with yourself and always ask yourself, how can I be the best version of myself even after the mistake? Because what happens sometimes when we make mistakes, we become the mistake, and then there's a veneer that comes up, and then it's machoism or too much masculinity that comes through, and the vulnerability goes under the couch, and you don't know how to really show up and show that power and that vulnerability. Recognize again that you're human and that you can still rise to the occasion even if you make a mistake. So come in being the best that you can be. And when you make a mistake, you learn from it. You take that information and find that as golden, valuable information. Don't just shoo it aside and then you just stay in a loop thinking about it over and over and over again and never moving forward. Process it. And you process it by understanding, did I do that based on a program? Did I really understand what's happening? And if I did do it on a program, what is the new dimension of thinking do I want to have? Always give yourself an opportunity to raise your bar.
I love it. And since you opened the door about making mistakes,
Yes.
what's the one mistake you made in your career that ended up being your greatest breakthrough, and why?
Oh, I made so many mistakes. So many mistakes where my face is on the floor in tears. I made so many mistakes. But what I realize is that if I can see it as something didn't happen to me, that it happened for me to expand, to go to my next level. And everything is always adding up. All of those things, even the things that we're not always proud of or happy of, there's still feedback. It's still feedback and new valuable information. Our problem is, as humans, we cover ourselves in shame. And once that shame takes over, we're a mess. So you got to understand that you're not the problem, meaning you can separate from it as long as you're willing to learn. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. No, take that information and find some value. So for me, um, you know, when I quit my job, I was moving and going back and forth to New York every 3 weeks for work, and really deciding that I'm going to make a decision to change. It was an identity for me because this is who I am. This is how people know me. Oh my gosh, I'm not doing that anymore. And then first, when you first do it, it's okay. But 6 months down the road, 9 months down the road, a year down the road, and you're like, oh, but that oh is where the juicy golden information is. Because a lot of times we are afraid to reinvent ourselves because we are known as this and not this. But here is where the beauty happens when you start to really expand yourself, to take all of that beautiful information and make a beautiful new cake and show up as that new person and be able to reinvent yourself over and over and over again. It's a win. It means that you are not in a box, that you can separate from one thing and do something totally different and be amazing at it. If you believe it, if you give yourself an opportunity, if you say yes, if you're committed to when things don't seem like they're going well, but you're still capable of moving forward because you believe in yourself, that's already success. That's already success.
I can't think of a better way to put that. So, staying on the line of success,
Mhm.
2024 is almost over. We're just weeks away from the end. What's one more thing you're going to achieve before the year is out? And what's your big goal for 2025?
Well, one more thing that I'm achieving for this year is opening up my heart even more and being this radiant light, this radiant beam of light for individuals to see and for them to, through me, give themselves permission to be more, to have more, to do more, to be more. And I continue to do that, and that's beautiful. 2025 and also this year, we are launching an academy. It's 12 months, 6 months, and that's exciting. And what we're doing is it's me over 12 months, over 6 months, and with groups of women coming together, and we really dive deep on what's holding us back, self sabotage. Why do we feel like we are here, but we should be these amazing, powerful women living the most amazing lives? And I help women see themselves at the highest level. And if men are needing it too, I certainly can do that for them too. But I let individuals see themselves, and I hold beautiful energy around them. I help them to be a 5 star in everything that they do. And they feel so proud in every moment. So there are many things that we're doing. Lots of things that you can see on our website. We're going through a new revamping. It's going to be more opulent and luxurious because individuals need to give themselves the yes mode for their lives so that they can show up in the way that they're supposed to, day in and day out.
Well, Eva, you are delightful and inspiring. As we wrap up, tell us again about that new dating program you've got and tell everyone where they can find you so they can thank you for joining us today.
Oh, this is great. It's been fun. I want to thank you so much for helping me because I had some internet issues on my side in the beginning, so things happen. Um, our dating program, it's 4 weeks programmed. It's called Swipe Right, Slay the Dating Game. Ladies, gentlemen, you want to know how to really call in your mate at any age. Does not matter what age you are. If you have a desire, we have an answer and a solution. So check that out. You can find us at embodimentisEverything.com. And Jason, I'm assuming that you would have it in the description box so they can type it in. But yes, come and see what we're doing. We're revamping everything, but we are ready for you. We are ready.
Yeah, go to the website. It is ready. I was on it today, getting ready for this today. Thank you for the kind words. But technical difficulties in podcast or producing any kind of show are par for the course. So
Yes.
we're used to that, and you did great working through all of that. So I thank you for your help working through those issues as well today. I want to personally thank you, Eva, for being on the show today. And to everyone watching, if you found this conversation valuable, go ahead and share it. Leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got lots more amazing leaders coming your way. Go out there, do great things today. Keep watching. Keep developing your leader's mindset. Onward and upward.
Yes.